Welcome in everyone to the Challenge After Show. Today, Jenna and I, and possibly Pamela, are talking about the Challenge World Championship, episodes 1 and 2, Run the World, and When Worlds Collide. Those are the two.
Here we go.
So
Thank
just
you for
very
bringing the
generic.
episode names. Thank you for bringing the episode names because you know that I don't look. And again, I've said this before. I'll say it again. It's not even an inkling of a thought in my mind until Dan says it, and then it all comes flooding back to me. Like, oh yeah, Dan always knows the episode names.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty generic start to it. Run the World. I mean, okay, because they are, I guess, it's a world. I
Well,
mean, and then When Worlds Collide. So they are both names of songs, right? Because isn't that one like Who Runs the World? Girls.
who runs the world?
And
Yeah.
then When Worlds Collide, it would be like When Worlds Collide. What was that? Papa Roach? Like, what was that song? I don't even remember who
I
sings
do
that. I have
believe.
no idea who sings
You
that
know what it
song.
reminds me of? It reminds me of one of those songs that is just like perpetually on loop in like a JV football locker room in high
Sure.
school. You know, I
It'll
always,
get you hyped up, Jenna.
I always think that when I hear anything by Limp Bizkit too, I'm like, why do I feel like I'm walking in a hallway of a high school and I'm just hearing like boys hitting their helmets on the lockers?
You'll run
Although I
through
love
you'll
it.
run through a
Listen,
wall.
there's
Yeah.
nothing better to run to than Rollin' by Limp Bizkit.
Roll.
He yells out the F word every other word as if it makes any sense in a sentence, and it doesn't, but I love it. But I love it.
I'm looking up. Oh, it's a song by Power Man 5000. Remember that band?
No,
I
no.
do.
The only thousands I know is Andre 3000. Who
It
is
was
this?
it was released in 1999. So you were a young lady.
Oh, could be. I think I was kindergarten-ish.
I
I'm a
was
93 baby, so
10,
how about
11.
you, Dan? How
I
about
was
you?
I was 14 years old. So
Shut the heck up.
in 99 I was 14 years old.
Wow.
I told you you're a lot younger than Pamela and I. I
Yeah.
think Pamela is older than me, not to just throw out name
14.
people's ages, but I think she's older than me.
So you remember a pure high school experience then with no phones or social media? Because
Oh,
I'm a unique generation because I'm on the cusp. Like we went home and we went on our computers and went on Facebook, like very early versions, and had our flip phones in school. And it was like a punishable offense if anybody's phone ever vibrated in class. But now it's like iPhones in class, everything's
there
on your phone.
were
Your experience must have been
there were
interesting.
a select few that had a cell phone when I was in high school. I was not one
Wow.
of them. I didn't get a cell phone until I was in college. My brother, who was a lot cooler than me, him and his friends who were 2 years younger, he had a cell phone in high school.
Hmm.
But I never did. I was like, I don't. Why do I need this thing? I have a home phone. Why do I need, like trying to like
What was your
pretend.
cell phone? It was probably like a thick Motorola. Like what kind of
Well,
phone
I
was
remember my first cell phone was a Nokia, which was a brick, and it had
that?
a blue screen, and then you had to type in like if you wanted to say like Apple, you hit A once for the A, and then P would be like
Nine
maybe a couple
texting.
hits down on that one.
Listen, if for the younger people listening, we haven't started talking about the challenge yet. We'll get
Mm,
into it maybe.
yeah.
Episode one's kind of, we'll get into it. But if you've never had to do T9 texting, that is a puzzle in and of itself. Like how we were able to do T9 texting, you had to hit certain numbers like multiple times to spell a word.
I don't
It
think
was
I even used the phone for texting when I had to do it that way. Like I just made a few phone calls to people. I never thought the phone would be this thing where you're just obsessed with it. And of course now I am, but I used it to make phone calls every once in a while. I mean, that was it.
yeah.
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, how did we get down this rabbit hole?
We talked about my age of being 14 in 1999.
That's because worlds collide. It all comes back to the challenge. It all comes back.
I
So,
was
Dan,
gonna say when world so let's
what
run
do
the
you
world
think?
right now like they do in episode 1, and they're bringing in 4 different countries. I thought you were gonna pat a dog. Is that a dog?
It's a
No.
garbage. Sorry, we're gonna talk about this, guys. Don't you worry. Okay, we're getting into it in three, two, one.
Argentina, Australia, the UK, and the USA. Um, it's like, do we want so episode 1, why it sucked so much, in my personal opinion, was that all of the people we actually knew who the hell they were just watching on the sidelines while we tried to figure out through 4 different checkpoints who the hell was doing what they tried their best to put in their names and who they were, and like they would do like little things about them. I had no interest. I had no rooting interest in any of these people, even the US people, which was Danny and Ben and Sarah and Justine. We didn't really, I mean, that's okay. I like Danny enough, I guess. Of
Yeah, I
course.
love Danny and was rooting for him. Same with Justine. But we killed the lead. So to let everybody know, Dan and I texted a little bit and we felt that episode 2 was much, much better.
Yeah.
So that's our overall take of episode 1. Kind of a dud, not super interesting.
I think it just, we didn't know who any of them were though, Jen. Like I didn't know who to root. I wasn't rooting for anybody. I don't care who was winning that. I mean, and how funny is they brought all the other hosts in too. Like I give a crap about these other hosts. And then here's the best part, Jenna. Episode 2, they're like, now we don't need them anymore. It's just TJ again. Like all the other hosts don't need them anymore. Like it was so, episode 1 was just so like, they're trying to bring all these things together. And it's like, no, let's just get to the, once they picked partners, I was in.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of episode 2.
Yes, I completely agree. That's when I started to get locked in. That's when it got exciting, was them picking the teams, like an old school picking a dodgeball team. I don't know what that says about us, but that it's always interesting.
Schoolyard. It's schoolyard style, and it still works.
Agreed, it still works. But my knee-jerk reaction within the first not even 10 minutes of episode 1 was, this is just not our show. This just isn't the challenge. This isn't MTV's The Challenge that all of us grew up on, that all of us love, because we've talked about it before, but The Challenge was such a unique show because it mixed reality TV, hookups, drinking, fights, people just being authentically themselves and wild on camera, but it didn't feel like they were playing it up. It just felt like that was the cast of characters in this house. And it mixed it with competition, and people were great and you loved rooting for those people, or people sucked and you loved watching them suck. So my knee-jerk reaction was like, this show's not our show anymore. It feels polished in terms of TV. It feels family friendly, cookie cutter, a sort of manufactured, polished TV show, like a competition game show for families to watch, not our messy, down and dirty, sloppy reality TV show.
So they tried to do, after we'll get into the checkpoints. They had to do 4 different checkpoints for the first challenge. They did like a mixer after that. And it almost was like they were trying to go old school with it. Like, let's just let them all hang out and have random conversations. And then in that, they literally were like, you'd hear Darrell say, oh, I really like this Kiki girl. I could see myself working with her. And like, blah, blah. Banana's like, oh, I want to work for USA. I like Justine. And then in the next episode, they all ended up being with those. They gave it away in that mixer, who everyone was going to pick. Like during when the competition was going, Wes was like, oh, that, is it Zara? Who's he paired up with? I think Zara. He's like, when she was doing the wheel thing, he's like, oh man, she looks like a badass. She just doesn't give up. She's got a lot of heart. I'd love to work with her. And then they get paired up. It's like those interviews where they, after these put them in, it's like you gave away everybody's partner before we got to the picking. And that bothered me a lot. Like we already knew. Yeah.
You start to feel that way, that things are spoon fed to you a little bit. I get that they have to make it easily digestible, but it just makes the story like way too easy to track, that again, like we can kind of predict what's going to happen. And I wonder in that mixer, like you mentioned, which I find it hysterical, one, that Team USA even had to wear the Top Gun pilot outfits to begin with. And then the fact that they couldn't take them off in the mixer, they looked ridiculous. It looks like half a costume party. All of these USA team people look like they just came from pilot class, from pilot school. And all of the conversations were game related, which I do get because this is a game for a lot of money and people want to make sure they find their compatible game partner. So those questions need to be asked. But yeah, where's the entertainment value? Where's like some other out of left field conversations? Where's some of these fun moments? It all just felt like so like contractual. Is that what? Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for.
It felt too manufactured. It wasn't like a natural conversation. It was like, okay, you need to talk about these things so we can make this storyline work. They brought in 16 people from those shows: Argentina, Australia, UK, US, 4 from each one. So that's 16 people that, like, honestly, we're only familiar with 4 of them. That's even if you watch the US one. So we have 16 people. Then they brought in 14 legends, as they're calling them. And then then we knew that 2, a male and a female, we're going to have to get eliminated. So there's 14 and 14, and then they pair up the partners of 14. Mm-hmm. But randomly, this guy, Nathan from UK, I wrote it down because the way he's medically DQ'd. It says he's been medically separated. I assume that means he had COVID, right? Like, why would he be
You'd have medically to think, separated? Why don't they just tell us at this point?
Who cares? Yeah, they act like
everyone knows what COVID is. It's not some secret.
I think they're too afraid to admit that COVID's like still exists and that their show could get shut down due to COVID. It's like everyone's just so afraid. Everyone's so afraid of getting canceled in any aspect in the world right now, you know? So like, I feel like they're worried about saying the C word.
I know, but it just, I know what you're saying. This isn't directed towards you, but it's like, then what do you want people to theorize then? People are just going to sit there and assume it anyway, or you're going to leave them with worse questions. Like when they just completely catapulted Ashley Mitchell out of there on like a spring chair and she just wasn't at the next episode. Everyone online is putting the pieces together, trying to think about what she said to Josh. Did this have to do with Josh Martinez? It's a similar thing. Like, okay, so now we're all sitting here thinking it was COVID anyway. So should we think it? Should you say it? Like,
well, they've never used the word medically separated ever. So I think they're trying to get it more obvious that it is COVID, because why would you be separated from a group unless you are sick? Not like I broke my arm, you know, clearly it's a flu or something, or COVID, obviously. So I think so. I think that's what happened. We can look, I'm sure people in the comment section are going to tell us exactly what the hell happened to Nathan. They'll tell us his middle name. They'll tell us his favorite goddamn color and where he went to high school. So good job, everybody, for knowing who the F Nathan is. My bad for not giving a crap about a guy, right? He's fine.
I will say I did give a crap though. I gave a crap when he left because in that mixer, he was one of the most exciting people to me. He was the only person that was like, I came here.
I don't give a shit.
And let's partner up and let's, you know, UK and Australia together till we die. I was like, okay, he's actually someone who is animated, someone who's trying to make something happen in this game when everything else just felt like a speed dating for sport sort of conversation.
I mean, they edit these things later. I'm surprised they even used any of his footage. Like, why get us like attached to a character? Like, oh, he could be cool because he doesn't give a shit, and then oh no, he's medically separated now. It's like, well, why even give us that? You know, don't tease us. Come on now.
Yeah, it was just so funny how that happened. I was like, of course Nathan leaves. Like, he was somebody I was interested in seeing. He looked like he was gonna, you know, make a little bit of a ripple, a splash in this game. But all of this, you know, I don't want to sound too negative because I'm not opposed to this idea, this theme. I really love the concept. I like bringing people in from other countries. I think the culture differences are fun. I think making the new relationships are fun. I really like meeting these new people. It's just the glossiness of the show that is different for us now. You know, like you said, they're bringing in the other hosts and then they're gone. And I hated that during the first challenge, the qualifier, that they had this graphic pop up that felt like you were in a video game that was like, this is 70% strength and 30% mental. And I was like, this is too polished. So I like the concept. I'm all in on the idea of it, but it's just, you know, the polishing of it.
Did you like when they had the person pop up and start talking? Like, it was a confessional during the thing. It actually saved time from flipping back and forth. It had the little person pop up, say it's Justine, and she's there while she's also performing during the challenge. And I actually thought that was kind of neat because it actually it lets them put more content out, because we're not only listening to a confessional, but at the same time, we're actually watching a challenge take place. Instead of having to cut back and forth, we get a little more content. So I didn't mind that aspect. And then we will get to later, once they pick teams, they give like almost like the back of a baseball card to every player and what the legend. We'll get to that because we always talk about our 5 assets of the challenge. Well, they made up some really random shit that these people are known for. Like what is their strength, or what is their, what do they call it? I wrote it down.
That's funny. I'm glad you picked up on that because that part went over my head.
Expertise.
Okay.
What's their expertise? And they wrote them. I wrote them all down because some of them, I'm like, this person's known for this. Get out of here. This is bullshit. We'll get into it though. Yeah.
That's great.
I really think they had to do 2 episodes for us, Jenna, because I think you and I realized episode 1 sucked. If they left it after episode 1, I'd be like, what is this shit? Because they didn't even pick partners till episode 2. But like we said, once they picked partners and they showed us that aspect of it, I was like, okay, this is good because now I have teams I can root for because I like certain legends. And there are some of these I guess we can't call them rookies. They're being called MVPs, or what are they called? They're not, all the new people are called something else. They're
Yeah,
called
I think you're right. I think they are called MVPs.
some garbage name. Let's be real. They're rookies. Let's just be real. They are rookies to me. So some of the rookies I do like I love Kaz, that girl from the UK who dated Theo. That's a whole thing right there. Do
Mm-hmm.
do they have a kid together?
Oh my gosh, I have no idea.
Because Theo said he had a kid, and then Bananas went and talked to Kaz later and said, I really want mom and dad to make up and get back together. I don't know if he meant just mom and dad as in like boyfriend, girlfriend, or if that is
Yeah.
actually the mother to Theo's child. I want to say no, but not the way Bananas talked to her at the mixer, it sounded that way.
At the costume party mixer.
At the, yeah, well, at the,
I my
they're all dressed the same.
interpretation, yeah, I interpreted it as him speaking in like Stan language and just being like, that's mom, that's
Yeah,
dad. Like, you know, when people worship a celebrity couple, they're like, mom and dad, my mom and dad.
right.
That's kind of what I thought, but that's really interesting. That's a good point. Should we Google it?
We could easily, who does Theo have a child with? It's that quick and that easy to find out, I guess. So but while you're doing that, they are in Cape Town, South Africa, competing for $500,000, and I assume that means to split between the two partners. So we have that aspect of not a million, not doing. They're doing it like All Stars 4, All Stars 3, All
Really good
Stars 2.
chunk of money.
Yeah.
Google has answered, and it is not Kaz. It is
Okay.
Sapphire, and I'm gonna butcher her last name. Yanel.
Stripper. Oh, I thought Sapphire Stripper. Sorry, my bad.
Just Sapphire.
Oh,
But she's an influencer.
of course. Oh, I can't. I thought he had a kid with a doctor. I'm shocked that it's an influencer. Great. Well, Kaz seems really cool, and I think he should have stuck with her. So,
Oh God.
come on, Theo.
Yeah.
Should we talk about? Oh yeah, they're definitely called MVPs. Should we talk about the qualifier at all? The 4 checkpoint qualifier.
Well, you clearly
Briefly,
didn't like it, right?
I liked aspects of it. The first thing they have to do is drink gross milkshakes. Of course, they don't tell us what's in it. They said it was vegan at one point, but like, tell us what's in it. We don't know what they're actually drinking, so that was dumb. I didn't know what the hell was going on.
I had to drink a lot of it too.
But
Ugh.
I know.
And also, I found it funny because I was thinking they're trying to establish a new fan base, a new people on CBS. They really went in hard with the puke zoom ins in the first 5 minutes of the show. I was like, this is disgusting. This is one of the most just invasive montage of puking that we've seen, and this was certainly a way to kick it off. I was like, I wonder if you get people who are like, this is just so crazy, I'm buying in, or if you have people just saying next, click the channel because this is disgusting.
Yeah, how about Ben projectile vomiting? And he had a huge beard. It was all in his beard.
Also, the second any of their tongues even touch that drink, they're all just spitting up everywhere. Yeah. It was instant.
I don't know what was. I wish they would tell us what the hell was in this thing.
It looked disgusting.
Checkpoint 2 and 3, I actually thought was really cool. The concept, which was one, they had to use a sledgehammer to move a tire that was filled with sand, and then on a roll, they had to figure out a way to get this concrete wheel across a thing without touching the ground. That stuff, it's like the floor is lava type deal. I love that stuff. That stuff's fun. But I mean, I feel like it's more fun to do it than to actually watch it. But because checkpoint 4 was so dumb.
The puzzle, right?
The weight, they had to move weight. They had to put stuff in order by weight, but then they showed like random numbers on a thing. Like, were they written on each little cylinder thing?
Yeah.
There's no way to follow along at home. It's a garbage idea. It's dumb. I don't know what was happening. I can't stand.
I agree that it was incredibly hard to follow along, and it made it distracting because you do go in not knowing all of these people. So I get why they did it. I think the idea again is good because it sets a hierarchy of who's going to be good of the newcomers, and it sets a, they get to be exempt from elimination, and they get to ultimately have the first pick of who their partners are going to be. So I understand from a game standpoint why
that's all good stuff. Yeah,
all really good. But to start out fresh out the gate, it just felt kind of distracting, like you said, hard to follow. And normally in the past, you get to meet the people first, kind of understand a little bit about them. They get to party for a night or two, and then we go into the challenge. Just doing this within the first 5 minutes just felt kind of like, okay, it's just very game heavy. You know, we're missing a little bit more of that like reality element of it and like
Yeah.
getting to know people, getting connected to them. It
It
just was
was it
like
was just for
game,
me
game.
it was an overload because I was trying to figure out who was who, learn everybody's names, write them down, and then also follow along on this four, not just a simple game, a four
Yeah.
checkpoint race. And I'm like, I don't know what's I was just
Yeah.
overstimulated, like trying to get like everything organized. I'm like, this isn't fun to watch because I'm too busy trying to learn. You can't just sit there and enjoy it. So that was
Well, that's what's tough too, Dan. I think that we have to acknowledge that part of that is because we want to have really good notes for when we debrief. So I think that all the time is like it's hard for us to just purely enjoy it because we're also thinking about we need to remember everything. We need to make notes of things. I want to write this down and who did what. We want to be specific with our discussion. So that might take away from just like popping on the couch and watching something wide-eyed for entertainment. So we have to acknowledge too that like doing the review might be an influence on how we watch the show too in terms of
for sure
enjoyment.
that's an issue. But at the same time, if you were just to watch episode one as a viewer and not write anything down, not try, I'm not sure at the end of that episode how many new people out of those 16 people you could actually like, oh yeah, I remember that person and I remember this about them. Like I don't feel like they did it. I mean, they tried their best, but it was just too much. And I think that's why they included episode two, because once they got paired with another a legend, it's like, oh Wes, oh yeah, Wes is with that UK girl Zara. Like you can just kind of start breaking it down that way. But yeah, I'd like to get into episode two because I have so many good things to say about that versus this
Yeah, let's take well
nonsense.
let's round out episode one though, because Grant and Zara win.
Yeah,
So Grant is Australian and Zara's from the UK, unless I have that
that is
backward.
correct. I'm looking at my notes.
Correct.
Yes,
Okay.
Grant is
So they
Australian.
win. I was very impressed with Zara because this is going to sound superficial, but she looked very small.
She's petite.
Super petite. So I was shocked that she was able to get that flagpole across and hoist it up before Sarah could,
Yeah.
because, you know, Sarah's pretty muscular and we've seen her have some strength before. So super impressed with Zara. It was shocking for that much like power and strength to come out of that tiny little body. You know, she looked like size 0. And Grant, I think, comes in as like the heavy hitter. He's obviously everybody has his eyes on
Yeah,
him.
it's hard to say. Like he just looks like a regular dude, but he's clearly. We'll see in episode two. He comes to play in episode two as well.
Yeah.
One more thing about Sarah, I just in case nobody remembers this, she's a police
Tough.
officer, 16 years on the force. She wanted us. Come on, Sarah, with those eyes too, freaking me out, letting me know. Then they got to show a flashback photo from like 16 years ago when she was a freaking rookie on the force. I don't care, Sarah. Oh God. Oh God, I'm getting those
The
memories of the
brotherhood,
CBS show.
sisterhood. That's just one of those. It's one of those jobs that they have that like identity and that, you know, camaraderie within themselves. I feel like they love to say what they do.
Yeah.
Police officers. But yeah, Sarah's a cop. In case we forgot, she has to introduce the new market. Also, in case we forgot, Danny's wife's name is Kiki.
Yes, we got that one too.
LOL.
Speaking
Every
of
time.
Kiki, we'll get to Kiki in a second here because Claudia and Tristan come in last in this thing. So they automatically have to go to the arena. They're calling it the arena this year.
Yes.
Is that
We've
what
been
they're
wanting that. We've been wanting that. If you're not first, you're last, baby
right?
girl.
So
No,
this
not
is
really. If you're
we
last, you're
should
last,
mention
but
that before we get to episode two. That is something that they clearly heard us talking about, and they said, "Oh, we got to give Dan, Jenna, and Pamela what they want." Hello. So yeah,
yeah.
last place you actually have to finish now, which was huge in episode two as well. It came down to
Yeah.
two couples, and it's like holy crap, you know, or I should say couples teammates.
And
So
Claudia's a 40-year-old who looks 23.
yeah,
Let me get
Claudia's
that in
45. She's
there.
got such a light, fun personality, and I don't know if it's just
Looks
like
amazing.
she just has such a like a they all the Argentinian people are just like I don't know if they're happy to be there or whatever, but they're also they seem so kind and nice. Like not really, it's hard to is it a cultural thing? I don't know, but
I
yeah.
agree. That struck me right away too, is that they
Mm,
all feel really like level-headed and just like cool, sincere people. Like they're not coming in with like a chip on their shoulder or any sort of bad energy. They all seem just really like unproblematic and unbothered by people.
yeah.
They just feel like we want to win, yes, but we're also like they just brought a good feeling to it. Yeah, totally agree.
I like some of the UK words that you don't get to hear very often. One is I'm gutted. I'm just gutted about it. I
Okay.
love gutted. I think it's such a like a it feels
So
like
dramatic though.
you really are sad about it. You're gutted, like your guts are being taken out. You're gutted. Oh my, like it's very big to say that. And the other one was when someone got paired with someone, I think Tristan got paired with um Kellyanne, and he says,
Yep.
I'm buzzing. I'm buzzing. He said it twice. Ooh, he's
I
buzzing that
love
he's with
that tweet.
Kellyanne.
Wasn't all over
So those are some
Queen.
fun little UK isms that I don't hear on a regular basis.
We have to
Um,
give a shout out to not Danny's Kiki, but player Kiki
yes, that was she's. We talk about her next for sure.
from Australia because she
I can look it up. Yes,
wins
Australia.
against
Yes.
Claudia. And she kind of got screwed over a little bit because this was actually really, really, we should talk about this in episode 1. Really smart gameplay by the Americans to be able to finesse the voting to be a
Mm,
UK player and an Australian player, not knowing how a tiebreaker was going to be deciphered and thinking either, great, we're going to get one of these countries out of here, or maybe the person that won who performed great is going
yeah.
to have to go down. Like, this is a win-win. And Kiki thought she was going to be safe because she has her team Australia, and they made that deal with Sarah and ended up voting her in. So
Mm-hmm.
that sucked for her.
By the way, going into that elimination, I thought Claudia was going to destroy Kiki, and I am so pleasantly surprised and happy to say that I was wrong because I really wanted to see Kiki go further. Claudia, she seemed real nice and all, but I don't know something about Kiki where I wanted to see her like make it further in the game, and she 3-0 dominated her in a pole wrestle. That was insane. And then Wes brought it up. He's like, I've never seen someone do the splits to get the pole away from the other person. I was like, he's like, I made this game famous. Dude, I'm having Wes on this show. You're gonna, hey, make fun all you want, but not
I love
only is this guy super entertaining, but he was the number one pick in episode 2, and you can't take that away from
And super humble.
him. I don't care about that. I love it.
Uh,
That's what makes him
no, that's
him.
part of his shtick. It's and thank God
Yes,
he's there, honestly, because it's entertaining and it feels like
yes.
good old. It feels a comfortable feeling. You know, we're like, okay, here's Wes. He's still Wes, and he will always will be.
And
But yeah, same
we
with
do need to break down the legends too, because they, especially actually both guys and females, but mostly I say the males, they brought in Jordan, Bananas, and Wes. I mean, you're talking about the three, and like we're talking about
Darrell.
Darrell. Like we're talking about Darrell's like number 4th banana on there. Like that's crazy to me. Like, those are
Yeah,
4 of like the heaviest hitters to ever walk on the challenge stage, and I think it's great. I think that they're all there is just really great. So
they're all there exactly. And yes,
yeah,
yes,
I.
they're great pick, great casting. They're
Mhm.
only missing CT. I'm glad to see Theo again. I'm really glad to see
I am
Theo.
too, actually, and I was never a huge
His
fan of Theo, but yeah, I'm excited to see him.
I'm excited to see him because I think he is really good and he's charming and entertaining. And his time on the show has been pretty short lived because of his eye injury. So I'm happy
Right,
that
but he's
we get.
paired with Sarah, so I'm like, I can't root for this fucking
Wait,
team.
you
I
know
can't.
what's so funny is when they got paired. I'm watching, watching with my husband, and he's like,
Yeah,
that's the best team.
it's a
Theo,
good team.
he's like, that's the best team. And then I love so much being like, oh, look at your best team, like strolling to the finish line in like 10th place because they did so bad
Yeah,
in the first challenge.
yeah. Well, Bananas and Justine, that's her name. Yeah,
Terrible. The vets did not do good,
they
but
didn't do great. Yeah,
yeah,
we'll get into it. Yeah, we'll get into it.
yeah.
So yeah, like we said, Kiki wins 3-0 in that pole wrestle, absolutely
And without
destroying her.
even breaking a sweat. Like,
I
why did
know.
she come out the other end looking like, okay, now I'm going to go walk the runway? Like, it didn't even look like she was out of breath or broke a sweat. She has that sneaky strength too, because she looks like a very petite woman as well. But yeah, she must be like, you can see that she has muscle, but she just overall looks so small that I was surprised too. But that was really cool of her.
So you know what else is also interesting about this season is not only is it they're going to be paired up with whatever, but they're also supposedly, and I don't know how, like Wes kind of called this out, they're also representing a country too. So in episode 1, Nathan goes home from the UK and Claudia goes home from Argentina. So those countries now, not that it's even based on that, it's really going to come down to partners, but you just want to have your loyalties with, you're hoping that those people stand up for you in voting times. But
Yeah.
now UK and Argentina are both down 2 players. So each team now, when you're representing those teams, if they each the Australian team and the US team, they have 8 players each. But the other 2 only have 6 players each. So if it comes down to voting, you're down 2 players, and Wes is with Zara on the UK team, and Jordan is with Kaz on the UK team. those to me, I'm like, I'm rooting for those two teams, but like they're already down if it comes down. And then Wes is like, I'm not even worried about that. We'll just pick the bigger side when it comes down to it at the end. And because I love Wes's attitude is hilarious. We're gonna get into
Yeah.
it too with him, and he's like, she's writing down notes. Like, was that? I think she did that on her own. I don't think that was planned by a producer. I think she's that interested in what Wes has to say. We'll get into it. That's
No,
how entertaining was that, Jenna? Like, you can't deny
I
that was
know I
so
like that a
freaking
lot.
funny.
I did like that, and I thought that it was good advice by him too, actually. Because
Yeah.
I think it speaks in not just to don't worry about people's like crazy CrossFit workouts, just
Yeah.
make sure you're doing a lot of
Don't worry about yoga. Just run.
well, I mean, I think yoga's good, but that's
Don't
because
do
I'm
bicep curls. He no bicep curls.
the bias.
He doesn't believe in bicep curls.
But I think it's good because it transcends other parts of the house. It's like don't be so bothered and consumed by what other people are
Are
doing. Like
doing right.
from A to Z, like whether that's their social game, whether that's their conversations, like although you should be aware of that because you want to know like, oh, these people are working together. But I just feel like it's like an analogy for like don't get trapped or sucked into what can damage you in this
Mm-hmm.
house. So yeah. But I love that she went to West School. She had a little notepad,
Oh,
like
it's so
seriously,
great.
like listening to him, like he is this guru.
Yeah. I just think it's so funny. All right,
You know, he
let's
was
get
probably eating that up. Like, yep, listen to me, I'm the expert.
yeah,
That's
oh,
right. Write it down.
he loves it. Let's talk episode 2, but I have a question for you to start episode 2 off, okay? So you are a MVP, that's what they're calling them. Um, who do you have any choice of any guy to pick first? Who are you going with? I think I can I guess, and then you have to be honest if I get it right.
Yes.
Let me double check here. I think you're going to go with Darrell, but he's older now.
Mm,
All right, but then you tell me
wow.
how wrong I am. Let's go.
No, it actually saddens me that I didn't go with Darrell because I love him, but
I
I
know.
actually picked Bananas.
Okay, I can see that too. I knew you weren't going to pick Wes. You can't stand Wes. I don't know what your deal is.
No,
You don't
actually,
like Wes.
Wes was like Wes, yes, and Bananas were all like,
Yeah,
ooh, like those are like a millimeter behind one another.
yeah.
Like I almost am still tempted to maybe do they're all so hard. I think in terms of well-roundedness though, I think Bananas is the ultimate.
Mm-hmm.
But Wes is like so right there, and then Yes is so right there.
Yeah.
My husband, we had this conversation too. He thought maybe I'd pick Jordan. And I was like, honestly, I wouldn't want to work with Jordan. I think he's
Really? I see.
yeah.
I think if you're a good competitor, Jordan will just, it won't bother you. Like you'll be raised up with him. You can't be in Anissa and work with Jordan because Jordan's like, he expects more. But I think Kaz, I don't think that she will let herself be an Anissa type. Like she will push herself further and Jordan will appreciate that. And even if they don't win, he'll say, well, you tried your best. I don't think he never believed
Maybe.
Anissa was trying her best. I think that was what really bothered him the most. If he believes you're trying your best and you still don't succeed, you gave it all you had. I don't think he'll never be, I can't imagine being as upset as he was towards how he felt with Anissa.
Maybe, but I find and I think he thinks that this is motivating and teammanship, but I can't help but find it kind of condescending coming from him. Like the way that he is always like, now come on, now walk, now follow me, now find me, now chase me. Like, I don't know, the way that he
Yeah, but
communicates.
he wasn't
But
saying
it
that to
worked for him.
Kaz and he wasn't saying that to
He
Kaz
was
in the chain.
though,
He
not in the
was a
same
little bit, you
way.
think?
Yeah, he just was very much like, okay, now keep going, now walk. Now I get where he's coming from. It's a motivation tactic, but I know for me personally, I'm like, that's
Yeah.
not
All right.
my
So
not how I
you're a banana girl. That's fine.
just this one, just working together, just this once.
Um, who would I pick? Oh, thanks for asking, Jenna. Let me. Who would I pick? I would pick. I did break it down though, because I mean, I had to pick a female. I got to pick a legend. I'm going either Tori or I'm going maybe a Jody. Even though I know back in the day, Jody used to kind of crumble under pressure. So I'm probably going Tori, but I feel like uh, Jody would be a close second. I can't stand Casey. I know she's good at. I don't want to be. I don't want to be her teammate. It comes down to that. Amber
That's funny
B.
that you would let her lack of entertainment value make you not pick her though, because I do think she'd be a solid choice as a partner.
And maybe yeah.
You
I
want that
want.
money, Dan?
Huh?
Do you want money, Dan?
Let me say this. Tori just won with Devin, and I think that I can do most of what Devin can do. He probably has me on the puzzle side because he really is just that good. But I'm pretty sure I got him on the endurance, the strength, and I guess that's all that. Whatever. I can swim. I'm a really good swimmer, as you know. I grew up on a lake.
Grew up on a lake. Is that where you think you lack if you were on the show? Is it puzzles?
No, see, I do have a good mind, but these puzzles, some of them I've never seen before, and they're so out there. Like the one today with the weights. I don't know how my I don't. We're also looking at it from an outsider point of view, right? We're not there. We're not being told all the rules by producers like to a T. You know, they're breaking it down for them. They want them to succeed in this. We're from an outside perspective. That weight game that they played looked so freaking hard. I have no idea what it even did with it, but in the moment, maybe I would understand it more because they obviously go over it. But yeah, I think puzzles is where I would struggle. And then obviously strength too. If I had to go against CT in a hall brawl, I mean, I'm going to get crushed. I'd have to mathematically, like Jordan does, have to outthink them with that type of stuff. But I can run. I'll run forever. And if I pass out, I pass out. Like my body will just keep going. So I have that working for me. But whatever. I mean, whatever. It doesn't matter. But I'm saying she won with Devin. I think she could win with me. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I think Tori is absolute solid choice.
All right, let's get to the pairings because this is fun. We're gonna break down every pair, and some of these what their expertise in killed me because I don't I'm gonna have to ask you to defend some of these. Okay,
well, if I can,
please defend them. Okay, the first one is Grant from Australia, and he picks Jonna as a #1 pick. I don't know what it is about me and Jonna, but I still view her as the original. I'm not looking at her from the All-Stars side. I'm looking at her from the original perspective. I'm like, she's gotta mess up sometimes. She's got to go back to the old Jonna, and she won. She still can't. She's out. She's beating my theory every time, and she's beating the crap out of me. I'm losing my mindset of what I feel about her. So I don't know what else to do. They won in episode 2. So
yeah, there you go. I think she's really composed and confident in her experience. And that is a huge plus on her end. And she had good endurance running up that hill.
I know. And that's what they gave her as her expertise was endurance. I would have given her you'll notice, I don't know if you noticed,
but given that as her expertise.
I wouldn't have either. I thought it was way off. I mean, I would write down literally I'd say puzzles. And social game and social
hold her own in endurance, but I don't think it's like her.
But listen to this, Jenna. Not one person was given puzzles or swimming as their expertise. I could see swimming not being there, but not one of these people, not one of the legends it said puzzles or anything along those lines. Like puzzles are a huge part of this game. For them not to recognize that as an asset to the challenge blows my mind because wait till you see some of the other things that they're listed as. Because there's at least 7 of them that they use, and they do repeats as well.
And Wes should have hands down had swimming as a specialty.
He is really good, but they put his down as either master. Social or politics, maybe endurance. I forget, but they didn't do any. Not one person got puzzles as theirs. But yeah, you're right. Yeah. Wes is obviously a great swimmer, but I don't think it's his top one, if we're being honest. You're right. So Zara UK, she chooses Wes as the #1 male pick.
Great choice. Yeah, great choice. Right. And they also just seem like they're going to be a good team. Like I don't know how she sussed out that they would work together well, but so far so good. I mean, they didn't really succeed. I
know.
But their their chemistry seems to be there. They're not
I starred my favorite.
Like, they're the best of friends.
Right. I mean, I starred my favorite teams, and we can go over that after, and you can give me some of yours as well. Because I'm interested to see, and also who you're rooting for too. Like, because there's so many heavy hitters this season. Obviously, it's the World Championship. How could it not be, right? #3 pick is Ben from the US, and he chooses KC. So there you go. You're right. I mean, she's going to be a top pick for a guy.
Well, they also had that little moment at the mixer.
Yes, but that's my point, though. They gave away all these people. Wes talked about how much he loves Zara. Grant talked about how he loved Jonna. I mean, we already knew who everyone was going to pick in theory from that freaking mixer. Yeah. Guess what Casey's expertise was?
Being quiet.
Yeah. Do you want to make a real guess?
Being a good girlfriend to Nani.
Okay.
having a brother.
Having a brother named Kenny. Yes. It was social game is what they wrote down for hers.
I agree. I actually, though, it's funny because we think that she's boring TV, but I do think that is her strength because she doesn't have any tension with anybody. She's not an instigator. She has good alliances. I do think her social game is her plus because people like her.
See, I think it's not her social game. I think she is like a Fessy in a way where people are afraid to go up against her in an elimination, so they never vote her in. So I don't think it's a social game. I think it's a fear of having to beat this person in an elimination. Socially, she ain't talking. So how is it social game? She got with Nani, so that helped her social game, obviously, because Nani's a huge favorite in the show. So that helped her be safe all the time. But I think what it comes down to is people don't want to have to play her in eliminations.
Okay.
That's me. That's me. That's a personal.
Well, I think there's less and less people in the challenge house now who are bad personalities and bad instigators and drama starters. Like, we haven't really seen a lot of people just starting shit in the house to start it, or talking behind people's backs, or making explosive fights. Like, those days are kind of dissipating. So that value in Casey is, I guess, maybe less special now. But when she came onto the scene, that's what I thought about her. I was like, well, I get it, because she's not starting problems. She seems like she's someone who's good to talk to, a good listener, like someone you want to be friends with, someone you feel like hears you out, how's your back. So I do feel like people would view her as somebody, like a good friend in their game.
A good friend in real life and shouldn't be on the challenge. There you go. Okay. Oh man, moving on. Kaz from the UK chooses Jordan. I think this team is going to be amazing. I forget what they put down for his expertise.
Wearing hats and scarves together.
Yeah, I was going to say. I think they put endurance down, obviously. The kid runs forever. Yeah, he put endurance for Jordan. So that was his expertise. Danny from the US picks Tori. They show a clip.
Love that.
I know, I love it too, but they show a clip. They show a clip of them fighting in a future episode. So I got nervous. I was like, wait, why? What the hell? This should be because Danny wanted to maybe get rid of Jordan or something like that. I forget. I know. It's something like that.
I hope that's not it. Danny seems like an impossible person to fight with, so I wonder what's happening in that situation.
Yeah, I don't know. Justine chooses Bananas, so Bananas finally gets on the board.
And Bananas is super weird about it. He's very much like, I just don't like new people. And
what was that?
I'm always public enemy number one. Like, what are you disappointed?
Bananas, you've won the most you've won. You've been to 10 finals and won 7 of them. What are we supposed to want you to win more, dude? Of course no one wants you to win. Sorry that you're public enemy number one. Think about this. Wes, I don't know how many finals he's been to. He's only won. Only one. He's won 3. And I'm not sure if that I don't think that includes his All-Stars win and All-Stars 3. I'm not sure. We could just look it up and find out. But
we won't.
But we won't, because we'll just have people tell us in the comment section, get all pissed off that I didn't do that homework real quick. I think I want to say it's not including the All-Stars win. Then you have Benha from Argentina, and he chooses Jody. And Jody does not want to be picked by him because they have one less. I know they have one less member, but then again, so does the UK squad. So it's like, well, the UK and Argentina both are down a person. And like Wes said, he doesn't even think it's going to come down. He's like, it's all bullshit. He's like, whatever. He goes, I have alliances in every damn country, whatever.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking too. Like, they're picking all these teams, and by episode 10, they could just do a total switch up. And now you can't work with them anymore. And now you're going against your partner. Like, there's going to be a twist. So don't get too comfy.
Kiki from Australia chooses Darrell, and Darrell mentioned earlier, like we said, that he wanted to be with her, just like Bananas mentioned that he liked Justine earlier in the mixer. I mean, we knew all of these a freaking ahead of time. A couple were surprised, like the Benja or Benha and Jody. We didn't know that was going to happen. Rodrigo from Argentina chooses Naya. I
actually love this because they just seem like
I like Rodrigo already. Yeah,
I don't know. I think this is going to be a fun one.
I think it's going to be a fun one. I don't think they're going to win the damn thing. They're not on my list of like, oh, they're going to win it. But I think Rodrigo seems like a cool dude.
But we never know, some of those underdog couples, those situations that you don't think are going to work can surprise you. So hopefully they do.
Well, let me get your opinion on this. Emily, who's a swimming Olympian, this girl may have grown up on a lake as well. She's from Australia, and she's picking up Yes as her. That seems like a team.
What a sneaky sleeper pick.
Right? This is all I have this star. Yeah.
She got Wes at great value. Oh, yes. Sorry.
Yes,
Yes.
it's all right. It's all right. Troy, who actually won the Australian Challenge. He chose Amber B. They're not like a favorite of mine as far as like I don't think they'll win it, but I mean Troy could be a sleeper. He won the goddamn thing. I mean, I
Yeah.
think they don't think that's a fluke. So I don't
Right.
know.
That's interesting. They definitely have a height dynamic situation happening there.
Yeah, they're gonna be small. They're a small team. They're definitely a smaller team. Sarah comes in and just has Thea waiting there for her. Like, what a freaking pick at the end there. Just luckily gets him. She's one of the
Yeah,
last.
I don't know why I'm not as impressed with this partnership yet. And that was even
Okay.
before the challenge happened. That's why, like, when my husband said that's gonna be the best team, I was like, really? But
I won't go 100% with your husband, but I definitely like them more than you do. I think that like Sarah basically she won it
I
with
forget
her and
that.
Danny
Yeah,
won it. Her and Danny won
yeah,
it. And they
you're
were
right.
in
Yeah.
ridiculously cold, shitty conditions. And I don't know how she pulled it off because I remember there was like some controversy. Like she's like all of a sudden her puzzle was done. It's like, well, how'd you get that? They didn't show us any of that, but whatever. Maybe they're just speeding up the tape. Who cares? Tristan from the UK, who this guy seems like he won the UK version, but he's sucked this entire time so far. In episode 1 and 2, this dude's just blue, and he's paired up with Kellyanne, who what has happened to Kellyanne over the years? This girl, I don't want to say she's like a nut job. That's not nice to say, but I don't know if it's just the way that they're showing her footage, but she seems
Mm.
like she's a little out there and kind of like just like loses it. Like she overreacts and kind of just goes off the deep end so damn quick and digs herself a hole. I don't
You know
know
what
what was
it
going
is?
on with that.
This is just an analogy. I don't, or
Okay.
a theory rather. I don't know if this is true. I'm speaking for her, but what I kind of sense with her is when you have that insecurity that you kind of that turns into like, oh, it's gonna sound harsh. I don't mean like a desperation sort of thing. Like you know, when you just like want to be either liked or you feel like you haven't proven yourself, like at work or in a team, sports, whatever it is, that makes you just feel like that extra insecurity or that extra paranoia that makes you act certain ways. Like think about when you're comfortable with your friends or with your people or you're feeling successful at work, it makes everything else easier. You have that confidence that you've obtained and now can maintain. You know, I feel like she's on edge and she's so easily flustered because she came in second versus John A. John A lapped her
Mm,
and beat her. And then since then, she's not performing well. She's not
right.
doing well. She has that thing where I feel like now she's just kind of falling off the deep end because she doesn't like believe in herself. So now she's kind of
Something's
less
up because
down that way. Yeah.
do you remember her acting this way when she was on the original challenge back in the day? I don't remember her being like this at all.
She's always been
Okay, because someone will
emotionally
call us out in the comments or
yeah.
call me out in the comment section for saying that, but I don't remember her being like this. Like, anyways, but
I think to a degree, and that's why I always like Kellyanne. I'm always a fan of hers because I like her emotional, just how involved she is with that, and that she's just like willing to just be herself and
I
whatever.
love how about the confessional where she's like, is it revenge is best served cold? And then she, can you look
Yeah.
that up for me? And they go
Yeah.
back to a shot of her fixing herself in the mirror while they're looking it up.
I love
And
it.
she's still like,
Yeah.
yeah, it might be cold. It might
Yeah.
be, it's gotta be cold, right? And that type of stuff to show their natural personalities, like that is a
Yeah.
fun Kellyanne to get on board with. But this other Kellyanne, which sucks, I want to be on board with her, but like the stuff that she's saying in the house, I'm like, just stop talking.
She's
Stop
always
doing
been
this to
vocal
yourself.
though. Like she's always been ready to like have confrontations or, say what she thinks. She's always had a little bit of that paranoia too. Like, is that person saying this about me? Or why are you saying that?
Uh,
To,
yeah,
to,
I
a, to
don't.
a degree, yeah. But I think it's so funny that the two of them are together because their strengths are the same strengths and their weaknesses are the same weaknesses. I was like, wow, if you give the challengers a 12-mile run, Kellyanne and Tristan will smash it. If you give them puzzles, they're absolutely
Oh,
effed.
they are so. And then we'll get into that in a bit here. The last team is Huhuli from Argentina and Nelson as the last pick. And again, Nelson, not a great communicator, and she doesn't speak English that well. I mean, this team I feel like is doomed from the start. I really do. Like, on it, well, that sucks, but like, that's
We'll
what's going to
see.
happen.
We'll see. Yeah.
Well, I mean, so all right. I wanted to bring this up too. After they all picked teams, or maybe before, I forget. they did a legit intro like back in the day. We haven't seen a legit intro where they show all the characters. They didn't put their names up like they used to back in the day, but they do a legit intro where they all turn and look at the camera or whatever, and they're with their partners, and there's a bunch of yelling in the background through each one. And they show every country
Oh, so
representation.
nostalgic.
So did you like that? Did you remember that at all? Like they did. It was a full on intro. You don't remember because it actually told me like Paramount Plus, like, do you want to skip this intro? I'm
I
like, no,
probably
no,
skipped
no.
it. I
You
skipped
did?
it.
Oh no, it
I
was
probably did.
watch it next week. It's a legit
Okay.
intro. It's good. It's fun.
I do miss those. Those were
Me
fun and
too.
nostalgic. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It got you into the episode. It got you like, and plus it
They used to
also,
do some crazy stuff too. Remember they
oh
one time they would like come out of the water
yeah,
or
I
yeah, or they're
remember.
like
Yeah.
always in costume. They used to be ridiculous intros.
Well, on X's you'd have Leroy holding God, what her name was, and he would just drop her.
Yeah, Naomi, yeah.
Naomi, right?
Yeah.
So like stuff like that. But no, this was a legit intro. It was really fun, and I'm glad they brought it back. And it's back in the day. It was also a way for them to just like shove down your throat what these people's names were in case you just could not remember, which is,
Yeah. It used to be a fun thing. They used to go hard with the intros.
yeah. We had talked about that one that like came off as racist now, where they were like doing like chanting and shit.
Yes,
That one
yes.
was a bit much. But back in the day, I didn't
Yes.
think anything of it. But now
And
when
they
you
were
watch it,
like really doing it. Like
yes.
really like as paid actors, like as if they were in a movie. Like
This is
all of them
like
were
this was like
so
back in like the Evan and Kenny times.
was. But
Mm-hmm.
all of them were like locked into this performance
I
and like,
know.
we're not slipping, we're not laughing. They were all just doing this like, yes, the spiritual dance fully as if that was
Yeah,
their
I don't even know if to be honest, I don't know if it's offensive or not. I don't know what the hell was going on. I assume it was wherever they were filming from, it was a part of that culture. So,
yeah.
I mean, if that culture's like, I don't want a bunch of white people doing my dance moves, I guess. I don't, it's hard to say. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I know we can't say it's not our culture, so we don't know
Right.
if they
Uh, all
yeah.
right. Let's they showed Nelson talking to Huhuli at the dinner table, and I wrote down, and I don't think it's true, but I just wrote down for fun. I wrote, "Oh, Nelson's fallen in love again," because they showed him like really laughing. And this dude,
Why
every
was I thinking the same thing though? I was like,
because it's
why do I
Nelson,
feel
that's
like
why.
Nelson is gonna love this girl? Yeah.
I'm like, he's fallen in love, son of a bitch, Nelson. Give yourself a season off, man. Just be friends with everybody. Um, and then I wrote down the West was giving Zara tips and tricks. I just thought that was so
Yep.
great.
She goes
Okay.
to West School. So the challenge, this looks so hard. From even the second they blow the starting horn or whistle, that first hill sprint
I
up the
love
stairs
that.
is already going to be so hard. You're going to
Mm-hmm.
be huffing and puffing, and then you have to pull a 700-pound chain. Like this is no
I
joke. This is
know.
a really, really hard challenge.
So it was called Chain Game. Did you understand what they meant by like the tougher ones were in the middle versus the outside ones were easier, or vice versa, and what that meant for? And they had to drag it further if it was easier or something like.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Because
was
think
hard
about it.
to. I should have rewatched that part of it, but I did not.
Yeah. It makes sense in terms of you can pick what your skill set, how it's going to work best for you in the game. So for example, if you feel like you have better endurance and strength,
Mm.
if you and you're bad at puzzles, if the further away the furthest puzzle you can pick is the easiest puzzle. So if you suck at endurance but you're smart at puzzles, maybe you're better pulling to the shortest, the first puzzle, because you feel like less endurance, less strength, less pulling of the chain. Let's get to the puzzle earlier, but it's going to be the most advanced, complicated puzzle. But like Kellyanne and Tristan should have tried a shot for like the furthest away one because it was going to be the easiest. So
In theory, sure.
like, can you pull? If you can pull and you have strength, then you can
Yeah.
wait
See,
it out
that's the
for
thing that
that
you think. So
furthest away one.
what's great about this is it tested three of the assets that we talked about. It was strength, endurance, and then obviously to be able to solve a puzzle. Kellyanne and Tristan, you got to communicate that from the beginning. Do you suck at puzzles? Oh yeah. Oh, so, and they did mention it. They both said they have 50-50 shot of being good at it, which means, come on, you suck at it. If a 50% is called failing, guys. So like, let's be honest here. So they should have been like, we need to find the easiest puzzle. We can probably run just as fast as everybody else. Get to the easiest puzzle and be done with it. By the
I
way,
don't think they could get there quick enough
I don't
though.
think they could either.
Yeah, I
Because
don't think they
Theo,
could.
so by the way, Theo and Amber B, guess what their expertise was?
Height.
No, speed.
Yeah, I could see that.
So
I could
I
totally
could see
see
with
that.
Theo, I was confused why Amber B's was like speed. Is she that fast? Whatever. But the
Well, she's
point is,
when you're tall, you automatically have a little bit of a leg
if you
up, literally a
if you
leg up.
over that hill, if you saw who was the first person down that hill,
Nelly.
no, it was Theo.
Oh, I thought it was Nelson.
I thought it was Theo. Theo was above and beyond ahead of everybody else run up,
Chronic,
which
he's
makes
a track
sense.
star. Yeah,
Um,
makes
Speaking
sense.
of Nelly, though, what was Nelly's expertise? You'll never guess it because it's absurd.
Sweetness.
Heart, you actually did get it. Good for you.
That is his expertise. His heart.
His
That is
expertise is
so
being
true.
nice. Like, what are we doing here?
Well, listen, I've never heard the saying like in sports that heart will outwin talent any day. Like you need to want it more than that person next to you, and you'll
Well,
find a way.
I will
That
say
is
this.
Nelson. And
Did
he
you
also
ever
is
watch the TV
built.
show Captain Planet?
Is that no, that's not the guy with the underwear. No, I'm thinking Captain Underwear.
No, that's Captain Underpants. I mean, that's like a later on. Captain Planet. He gave out rings to all these kids, right?
Yes. And they put the rings together.
Yeah, one was
Is it
Earth.
Earth, Wind, Fire, and Air?
Yeah, and what was the last one though? Earth, wind, fire.
Air. Air?
The last one was air, or wind, and then the last one was heart. The
Oh
last
no.
kid had heart. So if that's my point. So if those were all superpowers, then you're right. Nelly has one of those superpowers. He has heart. There you
It
go.
reminds me of being, I don't know if you're a Harry Potter fan. I am. It reminds me of being sorted into Hufflepuff, which I also am. So Hufflepuff stand up, okay? But Hufflepuffs were shit on for the longest time. And in the
Yeah.
book,
So what is the deal with Hufflepuff? Is it the one because they mentioned obviously the least out of all of the different houses? Why would you get put in Hufflepuff? Because you have the most heart and you're a nice person?
but, like honestly, kind of. Uh so the way that it's articulated in the book, which is
Yeah.
so disappointing, is
Really?
yeah, because Slytherin is cunning, Gryffindor's brave and loyal and courageous and all that
What
heart
about
of shit,
Ravenclaw?
whatever.
What's Ravenclaw?
Ravenclaw's intelligence and
Uh-huh.
wit. And literally Hufflepuff is Helga Hufflepuff saying, I'll take the rest. So in the book, it was like, I'll just take the rest of the kids. Like, I'll just, like whoever's not all of these other amazing things, I'll just take the rest of
So
them.
what
Is
does
the
that
way
mean that they
it's
so they're
told.
the
But
what
Helga
are
Hufflepuff created Hogwarts founder.
okay.
Um, they're they're the honey badger. Their entranceway is through the kitchen, which is so like indicative of a house I would be in. I'm like, yes, of course. Like all I'm gonna do is snack. For like the newer analogy is like Hufflepuff's like the weed smokers. Like they have plants everywhere. Their common room is like the green room, and you enter through the kitchen.
Oh
So
my
it's like,
God.
okay,
So you're telling me they're the scrubs.
like the stoners. No,
They're
but
the
because
they're
Cedric
the
Diggory, listen, I'm gonna go like I'm gonna defend my people. So Cedric Diggory, I don't know if you remember him
of
from
course. Well, hello. He went on to be Edward from Twilight.
yes, he's just amazing. So that represents Hufflepuff. Strong,
Oh. I'm gonna
intelligent.
go with they represent the island of misfit toys from that old claymation movie there.
No, sure, whatever you want to call us, it doesn't matter to us.
Oh,
As the
I love that you are
Hufflepuff.
included in there. Good for you,
I'm a
Jenna.
Hufflepuff.
Were you an
I
extra
look
in
like
Hufflepuff in the movies, or you just?
I wish.
I wish, right?
Don't even get me started. Like Harry Potter messed with my little 11-year-old self. Like
I
distraught
mean,
when I didn't get a letter.
what's
Like
your
it fucked
favorite?
up
What's
my
your
life.
favorite? I guess you could say book or movie, but what's your favorite one?
Oh, I think in childhood it was Prisoner of Azkaban,
Hmm.
but honestly now I think it's Deathly Hollows. Just the
Okay,
closing
so
out.
I have to rewatch them all because I haven't seen them in years. But growing up, when I was watching them, my favorite was always Goblet of Fire.
You like
I
the
don't know.
name?
I think I liked it because it was like a you had a oh, and what's
It
Diggory
was
is a big
James
part of that
and
too. Yeah, I
Diggory
liked him.
represent.
But no,
That's
I
our
just
man.
like the idea of having a challenge. Like they had to do so. It was easier to follow along. I feel like than the other movies or whatever you want to say about them. But yeah, I don't know. I just
Mm.
like it was very organized for me as a kid.
That's what's so funny is because that one is like in terms of their personalities are so disheveled in that movie. Like that was when Ron and Harry were experimenting with
Oh,
these
the long
hair
hair, but it also
styles.
had some. You know what?
And
It
they were
also
so
had
like
some.
hormonal. Like they're all like,
That's why I
yeah,
like.
like the girls at the dance.
Yeah, I
so
like the
hormonal in that
drama. I
movie.
like the drama. Does he kiss Cho in that one, or is that a different one where he kisses Cho? He has a crush on her at least.
I, it might be the one where he kisses her. Maybe it's the
I
next
don't know.
one.
It might be the next one, but either way, I can appreciate a white guy liking an Asian girl. So there you go. I was saying. All right, here we go.
He
Let's move
likes
on.
the interracial
Interracial
relationship.
dating. Nothing wrong with that. So do you have anything? Do you have any thoughts on Chain Game as far as
Well, let's talk more about Harry Potter. No, I'm kidding.
yeah.
Because that was a long, that was a really long rabbit hole. I'm
Look,
probably gonna have to go
I
watch
can
it
talk. I
now.
mean, I can
I
talk
can't
about any type
hear.
of pop culture stuff. We can
Yeah,
do more Harry Potter later if you want. It's
I
fine.
can't hear the word Harry Potter without like immediately needing to put on. It needs to go on now. Okay. Chain Gang was really hard, and we talked about this a little bit, but the vets did not show up and show out. John A did,
Well, John
yes.
A. Yeah.
Bananas certainly did not. Wes did not. Kellyanne absolutely did not. The vets did not show up in this one. I was shocked that Bananas.
Jordan got second with Kaz though.
You're right. You're right, Jordan. Yes, you're right. That's not super surprising, but Wes and Bananas performing so poorly was super
Very
surprising.
poorly. And hey, look,
Yeah.
they are getting a little bit older, but at the same time, like they need to step it up. And I've noticed with Wes, like he doesn't always perform that amazing in the daily challenges. He's more of just his social game is just so good, and the way he looks at the overall picture in the long run, not the everyday type of thing. He looks at the long run of everything. I mean, hell, he won All Stars 3. He's still got something left. That didn't happen very
Yes.
long ago. So he's
And I
got
bet if
something
we
left in
were
the
to
tank.
interview him, he would have some sort of reason. He'd be like, "Oh, I just didn't
Yep.
want people to know I was good,"
Sure.
or
I
"I
mean,
really want
Bananas
to
made it
like
to a
that."
final too in the 38. So I mean, these guys, we'll see. I'm excited to see what they do, but obviously I'm a West guy, so I'll be rooting for West this entire season as always. So
Yeah. But it was funny, just like, and I also think like Kellyanne and Nelson not only are poor at puzzles, they were just getting like very flustered and very just out of not in
well,
control trying to solve this puzzle.
Nelson needs a strong puzzle person to be with, and Hahuli and him just couldn't communicate it. She might be good at puzzles, I don't know, but she couldn't communicate what the hell they wanted to do for it. So
But it was funny because the scenes that we saw of them working on their puzzle, she was like the muscle part of it. Like
right.
Nelson's like standing there and she's the one pulling everything. I'm like, how funny is this guy who's super strong and in shape, and she's the one, like she's the workhorse and the muscle of this challenge, pulling everything around.
Yeah. It's like, Nelson, this strength thing you could be good at. Like, step it up. Let's go.
Yeah.
So then Nelson ends up losing with Hahuli. They're
Yes.
going immediately to the arena because they got last place, which we love. We love this addition to it. And now they go and is that how it ends? Like, we don't know who they're going against yet, right? No, we don't know yet.
We don't know who they're going against, but we did see the Kellyanne
Freak
paranoia
out. Yeah.
spiral. So basically, we know how the House voted, which was so it's set up before the House even votes that Kellyanne is already suspicious, probably because she was second to last. I mean, that's normally how it goes. That's an easy thing to say. Like, oh, this team, we're just going to vote the person that performed the worst besides the people who are automatically in. So it makes sense. But there's all the foreshadowing throughout the entire episode about who her friendships are. Wes, her ex,
John
and
A.
John. Exactly. So it's kind of set up to, well, where is John A's like loyalty ultimately going to lie? But so she's a little bit paranoid, talking to everybody, right? She's kind of a talking head. And I do wonder if it is a bad edit. Like I don't know. I think that it can be yes and no. I think sometimes things can be manipulated and fabricated, but at the same time, like you are having all these conversations, so it's got to be true to a point.
So they do that big long ass table where they all vote for two teams to go to be chosen by the winners, and it came down to it being Kellyanne and Tristan, and then Benha and Jody, and Jordan did something interesting. He did what's called a burn vote. Bananas called him out for it, but it was actually really smart, and I wish that Wes threw it back at him later, and I'll explain. So he doesn't want to put Kellyanne and Tristan in because that's also another UK team. Because, like I said earlier, Jordan and Kaz are another UK team, so they didn't want to put another
UK.
Yeah, they didn't want to lose another UK team possibly. So they just said Benha and Jody, who are Argentina, and then they just threw in Wes and Zara just to have a burn vote. Wes, instead of pissing off his ex-girlfriend, right, who's also a UK team. I was really, because Wes is a smart dude. I'm surprised he didn't say, he did. He said Benha and Jody, but then I'm surprised he didn't just say Jordan's name along with whoever he's partnered up with, Kaz. Oh, then who? Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't say their name back so that they just burn voted each other, and then he didn't burn a bridge with Kellyanne, because if she does come back from this, like Jordan said, hey, can't look at me, Kellyanne, I didn't vote for you. I don't know. I'm surprised West didn't think about that more.
Well, maybe there was more scheming that we didn't see, that
For
he wanted to
sure.
be true to his word.
And
I'm
Wes
sure
also
that
said
people
he was
got
just
together.
Wes's reasoning was, oh, I just going with the flow. I just wanted to vote how everyone else did and fly under
Yeah,
the radar.
I
But
get
him
that
saying,
too.
Jordan's name back would have just been a burn vote back. It would have been. I thought that would have been just as smart of a move. I thought it was equal and equally, like, he could have
Yeah.
just, you know.
I was kind of surprised at first that Jody was the other vote, to her point that they weren't the third worst performing team. Why are they getting thrown in? But it's because they're partners from Argentina, and that's
Argentina, and they have less players.
yeah.
But they
So
were
that
one of
sucks
the
for
last
her.
teams, right? Weren't they? No, no, no. Were they?
Yeah. I think they were like fifth
No,
to last, is
they
what
were.
she said.
No, they were actually fifth.
Oh, they were just fifth.
They
Oh
were
wow.
fifth place. I wrote it down. Luckily, I wrote it down to fifth place. Yeah, they got fifth place.
And he's from Argentina, so yeah,
So
I guess I get it then.
yeah, so 14 teams played in that game. They placed fifth, and they still got sent down there. I mean, obviously Kellyanne and got second to last, so that there's that.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right. So I mean, before we go, we need to talk about who we're rooting for and who we think's going to win, and then
Okay.
okay. I'm rooting for obviously Zara and Wes, Kaz and Jordan, Danny and Tori, but I don't like that they fought, so I don't know if I want to root for them now. Kiki and Darrell, I think could be fun team. And then obviously I'm rooting for Yes, even though I'm not sure. I think Emily's an Olympian, but she didn't do very well during that checkpoint challenge during the qualifier. So I don't know about her, but those are my main teams that I'm rooting for right now. I'd like to root for Nelson. I just don't think he stands a chance, so I'm not even going to put him on my list.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard when we think about teams because there's certainly individuals that
Yeah.
I'm rooting for that outweigh team dynamics. So in terms of teams, I'm just gonna keep it simple for now because it's only episode 2. Like
Yeah.
truly, my favorite team at this point is Tori and Danny.
Okay.
Because those are two people who I just love
You like both of
independently.
them. But see, I think
Exactly.
that I like Zara and Kaz. I think they're great. Um,
Agreed. I
and
think Stars
and
and West
Kiki
are a good
performed
team.
well, so it's hard to not root for her. I mean, she
Yeah.
got screwed and went in and proved herself. So that's why those three are on my list. And I
Yeah.
obviously Darrell I love, so why not put
I
them
like
to
what you
that?
said. I like what you said. And to be honest, I don't think that there's anybody that I'm not rooting for. So
Um,
there's that too, like I don't have any teams that I'm like, no, I don't like them at all, or I
yeah,
hope
no,
that
there's no one that I don't like at all, but there are teams where okay, I'm not rooting for Ben and Casey. There you go, there's one. I'm not at all. Like Ben is whatever, he's okay, and then I
yeah, I'm
hate
pretty
Casey. So there
neutral
you go.
on them too. It's a good point. Pretty
What's
neutral
that?
there. I'm pretty neutral there as well.
I'm like, yeah, I don't care about. I'm sure.
I
Um,
actually, so like
I
I said, I really like a balance. Like I like when people are really good and strong, and I like when people struggle a little bit
yeah.
more. So for that point, like I do find a Kellyanne and Tristan team very fun to watch.
Oh,
And
I'm rooting for them just because they're so bad together. Like, can they
right.
pull it off? I'm not rooting for Justine and Bananas, if I'm being honest, because
Okay.
if Wes is on a season, I can't. Why would I ever root for you? You can't root for Wes and Bananas. That's like saying you root for the Yankees and the Red Sox. It's just like it doesn't make Celtics Lakers. It doesn't make sense to me how you can root for both of these things. And
I'm mad that you
Justine,
even compared them to them.
huh? No.
I'm mad
So
that you even drew that because
uh,
that's like what's his name? Bananas went on his Instagram and he compared himself to like Michael Jordan with 6 rings, and I was
well,
like, I
there,
can't. Is he serious? Like, I
well,
can't even
there
take
you
this.
go. But
Like, I'm gonna have a
Justine,
coughing attack.
okay, well, put it on mute. Justine, who you love, and you and Pam love Justine in the other one. I never thought she
Yeah.
was as good as she says she is. Plus, she told Bananas this episode, I played D2 soccer. She's like trying to
Oh
hype up her resume, so he like
yeah,
wants to whatever. I
I
don't think she's
love it.
as good as, and I hope that she proves me wrong, just like John A keeps proving me wrong.
And playing a collegiate sport is no joke, and that's I
D2
like that. Like,
soccer, I get it. My cousin played D2 football, and this dude he breathed that. You had like, the 2-a-days. He couldn't do anything besides either work out or have practice. And he was going to Assumption College in Massachusetts, which is a very, really good college. And he got good grades too. I don't know how he did all that shit. I can't imagine doing that type of stuff. So I get it.
Super fit. Yeah, you can see it.
All right. I think this was a solid. Now, is there a team that you think is above and beyond better than anyone? Like, I think there's a handful of really good teams. It's hard for me to pick just one that I think is going to win it, to be honest with you.
It is like truly, truly knee jerk based off this episode. But honestly, the final two, the top two teams of the daily, Grant and Jonna, and Jordan and Zara were head and shoulders above everybody today. So if their skills,
Jordan and Kaz, right? Jordan and Kaz.
Sorry,
it's okay. Yeah. Kaz, Zara's with Wes. It's a whole thing. They're Jordan both from the UK though, so you're close. Yeah.
Jordan and Kaz and Jonna and Grant, and it's like purely based off of today, but that was the stats of the day that they performed. It's just so much better than everyone. Yeah.
It's a fair thing to make. I'll still put Wes up there, even though like we said, Zara though, she's proven us wrong. She is a stick though. She's a skinny little girl, but if she has good endurance and whatnot, I mean, this is endurance, like Wes said, and I do believe it, and Jordan said it too. Endurance is the most important thing in this game, I think personally. Along with now they're really going puzzle heavy, so it's like you got to have good endurance and you got to be able to solve a puzzle under freaking pressure. It's not based on strength. You know how I know it's not based on strength anymore? Because freaking Devin won. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you need to be somewhat. You can't just be you can't have no strength. But if you work with your partner successfully, you don't all have to lift the heavy load by yourself. I mean, there's ways to get around the strength aspect. Now, look, if you get screwed and have to do a hall brawl, but it's not like everything is not based on strength. Like every once in a while, there's a hall brawl or there's a pole wrestle that's going to screw you over, maybe, Devin. But if you can avoid those.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that there's nuances to it, because if you are athletic in every sense of the word, like strong, have great endurance and all of that, then that can speak for itself. Like, for example, we've used that to speak about Bananas in the past, where like when people hated Bananas and Bananas could just backstab anybody, betray anybody, and nobody could do anything about it because he always won. Like, he was just that good at the daily challenges that he always won.
Yeah.
So if you're that good and you can just be that person that shows up and like is constantly winning or winning eliminations, and that can be your thing, then that's amazing. But I do think the strategy point of politicking is really important too. Like getting a feel for the house, whether that means flying under the radar or kind of being like a middle person, on the fence, this middleman, like being kind of friends with everybody, whether that's the trick or having like a really strong set of alliance. I think just being on the shoulders of like a social game could get you really far.
Oh, I mean, we saw what Bananas did in 38, and that's what he did. He didn't see an elimination until the freaking last episode.
Yeah.
He said, he even admitted to it. So, yeah. Exactly. All right. Well, I think we did a great job wrapping up this episode 1 and 2 of the World Championship from the Challenge. We'll be back next week for episode 3. Maybe I didn't look up the title.
Episode 3 will be called "We Are the Worlds."
We are the children. Yeah, we are the ones who make a brighter day. So just start living or giving, one of those two. But yeah, that's the song. Maybe I could see it.
Now let's go listen to "When Worlds Collide."
When worlds collide, are you ready from take you there?
Yes,
that's the song. I don't know the words, but that's
I said it was like football players. It was like me and my high school soccer team listening to that on our. We were the ones.
Yeah, it was me and my my theater arts department. We listened to that song. Who knows? I don't know. Anyway, it was me and the TV studio gang. We listened to that. Yeah,
love it.
All right.
Until next time.
We'll see you all next week. Pamela should be back. The poor girl, she got stuck at work. That's all. That's what happened. I mean, that's what happens. We're busy people.
How it be.
Yeah. All right. Bye, everybody.